All right, let's jump right in. In a game where alliances crumble in minutes, this week was all about one player's incredible journey from the absolute bottom right to a seat of power. And that gives us our title, The Prince Who Became Duke. But, before we get to the royalty, let's start with the reality on the ground. Mariah, in just one perfect confessional, absolutely nails the vibe of the entire game with this line. It's really the theme of the week, right? This cloud of universal paranoia, where every single conversation is a test and every alliance feels like it's built on sand. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll kick things off with the fallout from last week. Then we'll track the absolute chaos at Skull and this failed master plan over at Slancha. Then we'll see how a secret meeting on the battlefield changes literally everything, leading up to a final decisive vote. Okay, so right after Rowi's blindside, the whole game is just completely reset. The old lines are shattered, and for players in both tribes, it's this mad scramble to figure out who you can trust, and maybe more importantly, who you can use. Now, what's so interesting is how this fallout plays out in two totally different ways. Over at Skarl, you've got Ganal, who is basically a man on an island. His number one ally is gone, he's the obvious next target. But then, over at Slancha, it's a numbers problem. The original members are staring down this 5-person voting block that looks absolutely unbreakable. 2 tribes, 2 really desperate situations. So, let's go over to Skal because all that chaos from the last vote, it actually creates a huge opportunity. Out of the ashes of that blindside, a whole new power structure is about to form, and it's centered around the one player everyone just assumed was finished. And this timeline just shows you how fast this game moves. I mean, in just a few days, Gal goes from being totally alone and marked for death to being at the very center of a new majority. It all starts with a couple of apologies, it moves to some secret strategy sessions, and it's all cemented by a really, really smart strategic test. It's honestly a masterclass in how to recover in this game. So this new alliance, which they ironically name Shalom Bayit, which means peace at home, it forms from this chain reaction of apologies and realizing they have shared enemies. Eli, Gal, and Inna all realize they can team up, and by pulling in Gavri, boom, they have a new majority of 4. And their first target? Well, that's the shocker. It's one of their own former allies. Now, while Skal is busy forming this secret new majority, the vibe over at Slancha could not be more different. See, over here, we have a player who thinks he's playing 4D chess, when in reality, he's about to walk directly off a cliff. Okay, so Auric's master plan is a lot. It involves trying to betray his own allies, using another ally as a double agent without telling her, and bluffing with an idol that he doesn't even have. He thinks he's going to come out of this with all the power and information. The reality was a bit different. And yeah, this slide pretty much says it all. The Hebrew text here labels the 2 big monsters as the tribe's dominant powers. And way down at the bottom, there's Eric, who thinks he's about to take them both down. It's the perfect picture of a plan that's completely disconnected from reality. And here is all the proof you need that his plan was dead on arrival. The majority alliance was not fooled for a single second. Anna's reaction here is just perfect. She immediately calls his scheming witchy exercises and realizes the only thing his convoluted pitch is creating is just paranoia. He thought he was playing chess. They knew he was just knocking over the pieces. All right, so this brings us to a huge turning point. 2 players from each tribe get sent to the battlefield. It's this neutral ground where, secretly, the entire future of the game gets decided. The conversations that happen here are going to have massive ripple effects for everybody. This is where the end game starts to take shape. Power players Gavri and Noam lock in their cross-tribal deal, they share target lists, they build trust. And by the time they leave, a massive alliance designed to dominate the merge has been proposed. They are secretly charting the whole rest of the game right here. And with all that new information tucked away, the players head back to their tribes. Skull ends up losing the next immunity challenge. And suddenly, all those secret plans and new alliances, they're about to be put to the ultimate test. It's time to go to Tribal Council. So, the new 4-person alliance, they've got all the power. But here's the thing, their very first decision is a tough one. Which of their former allies is actually the bigger threat that they need to get rid of right now? So they've got this really tough choice. On one hand, there's Ella. She's unpredictable, she's untrustworthy, but she has a key connection on the other tribe. On the other hand, you've got Asaf. He leaks info like a sieve, but he's also secretly holding a real idol and knows some damaging secrets. It's a classic choice between a loose cannon and a quiet liability. But right before the vote, Gal does something absolutely brilliant. He makes a fake idol and then offers it to his new allies as a loyalty test. And guess what? They pass with flying colors. They immediately share the info with the whole group. In that one moment, the Shalom Bayit alliance went from being an idea to being rock solid. And this brings us to probably the best line of the whole episode. As the alliance solidifies, Gale says this to Gavri. It just perfectly captures Gavri's incredible rise to power. He's not just another player anymore, he's royalty, and he's collecting loyal subjects. And this slide just captures that moment perfectly. The Hebrew text is Gal's quote to Gavri, laid right over this image of a minion joining the group. It's funny, but honestly, it's also strategically spot on. Gavri's building an army, and Gal just officially enlisted. And with that new alliance totally locked in, the vote comes. The deciding number of votes is 5. 5 votes against Ella, and just like that, the blind side is complete. The Shalom Bayit alliance seizes total control of the Skull tribe, completely shattering the old majority. And let me tell you, this was a true blind side. It's when a player gets voted out with absolutely no idea it was coming. And Ella's own final words prove it. She was 100% certain Gal was going home, which just made the reveal that much more brutal. So as we zoom out, this image labeled the island of the original Slunche just feels so appropriate. That original tribe is effectively a ghost town, and it's such a stark reminder that in this game, original loyalty, it means absolutely nothing. So all of this leaves us with one massive question. Secret deals have been made, old power structures have been completely dismantled. With the merge right around the corner and the game this chaotic, who is truly in control?